Alright, today we're going to be solving by taking the square. Don't forget, take notes as you go and do the survey. So some things to know. We only use this method when there is no b value. So when we're looking at the standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c, we don't want a b value. So there will be no middle term. So our first example, you could also call this an undo method because all you're doing is undoing the order of operations. So you're going to do order of operations backwards to get the x by itself. So usually exponents come before multiplication. So to do this backwards, we're going to divide by 6. So x squared is equal to 81. Then the opposite of squaring is square rooting. So now I'm going to take the square root of both sides and I get x equals 9 and x equals negative 9. So let's do another example. So here, we've got x squared plus 9 equals 59. So if you're thinking of your order of operations backwards, you should subtract 9 first. Then you get x squared is equal to 50. Now you take the square root of both sides and you get x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 50. But I need to simplify my radical. So to simplify the square root of 50, I think, what is the largest possible perfect square that goes into 50? Well, that's 25. So that's my perfect square, 25 times 2. So I'm going to take the square root of 25, which is 5, and put the 2 back under the square root. So now my answer is x equals plus or minus 5 square root of 2. Let's try another one. So here, I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So I've got 10k squared is equal to 90. Then I'm going to divide by 10. So now I have k squared is equal to 9. I take the square root of both sides, and I get k is equal to positive and negative 3. Let's do another one. So again, order of operations backwards says I subtract 6 first. So then I have 8x squared is equal to 728. Now I need to divide everything by 8. So I have x squared is equal to 91. When I take the square root of both sides, I need to simplify the square root of 91. But nothing divides into 91, so I'm just left with x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 91. Okay, let's try another one. So we're going to add 5 to both sides. Then you're left with 8k squared is equal to negative 144. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 8 to get k squared is equal to negative 18. Then I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Now be careful here, we can't have a negative under the radical, so I've got to take an I out. So now I have k is equal to plus or minus I square root of 18. But I still have to simplify my square root of 18. So I take out my greatest perfect square, which is 9, and 9 times 2 is 18. So I take the square root of 9, which is 3, and put my 2 back underneath. So now I have k is equal to plus or minus 3i square root of 2. So remember, we can only solve like this when there is not a b term. Simplify your radicals, and don't forget the positive and the negative of the root. You can't take the square root of a negative number. If you have a negative, you've got to take out an I. It's an imaginary number. Make sure your notes are all filled out. Take the survey now and bring your questions to class tomorrow. Here are the survey questions in case you can't see them or you're watching a DVD.